Treasures of Central America is a fabulous, diverse 29-day journey across the natural bridge between two continents and oceans. Our exciting itinerary shows us a land with charming colonial cities, an immense biodiversity, the Panama Canal, the Eastern Procession in Antigua, gorgeous facades, ancient Maya ruins, thriving cultures and colorful markets, hotels at the foot of volcanoes, and much more. We've been running this tour with great success since 2011, and the reason for its popularity is the mix of highlights: ecotourism, the Panama Canal, and the thriving Maya culture. Panama City is a perfect place to start the trip. It's a thriving modern city established next to Panama Viejo, or Old Panama, the oldest European settlement in the continent, which was destroyed by the famous pirate Henry Morgan in the 1600s. We visit the Miraflores locks to enjoy our first glimpse of the Panama Canal as we watch ships transiting this wonder of the modern world. We stroll the streets of Casco Viejo to savor the architecture of this well-preserved colonial city and learn about its European, African, and American Indian influences. Even the fastest economy per capita in the Americas shows remarkable cultural contrasts. We embark on an exciting excursion to one of the indigenous communities of Central America, the Embera Indians. They still live in the forest of the so-called Canal Zone, live off the land, and keep their ancient traditions alive. The great highlight of our stay in Panama is a transit of the legendary canal. This monument of the millennium was started by the French in 1880 and finished by the Americans in 1914. It cuts across the Isthmus of Panama, considerably reducing the time for ships traveling between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. It also enables them to avoid the lengthy and hazardous Cape Horn route across the southernmost tip of South America. We travel through the Miraflores locks and the Pedro Miguel locks, altogether 3 steps that elevate ships 26 meters above sea level to an artificial lake called Gatun. After a total distance of 82 kilometers, the ships descend into the Atlantic Ocean, the entire operation taking between 8 and 10 hours. We enjoy a half transit and complete the rest of our journey in our bus, learning amazing stories about this masterpiece of modern engineering. Once on the Caribbean side, we take the famous Panama Canal Railway that runs parallel to the canal itself, bringing us back to Panama City. Here we have our evening meal before heading to Costa Rica, a drastic change of scenery and an immersion into ecotourism, conservation, and sustainability. Costa Rica is a country of rolling mountains, open plains, rainforest, lush river valleys, and a huge biodiversity. On arrival in the capital, San Jose, we visit the Poas volcano crater and learn how a small country the size of Denmark became the leader of conservation and ecotourism in the region. We leave San Jose and head to Tortuguero, only accessible by boat and known as the Amazon of Costa Rica, for a 2-night stay. Our guides are engaging, fun, and enthusiastic. It is impossible not to get entranced by their stories and the deep respect that our guides feel for the planet. They are real ambassadors for nature and are a highlight of the trip.
Tranquilo.
Tortuguero is a bustling rainforest where thousands of animal and plant species live in synchronized harmony. Don't be put off by the brown water. It's that color due to the many sediments washed in by the rain. Opportunities for wildlife spotting are countless. The forest here is full of surprises. We stay in a lovely property on the riverbank that gives us the chance to relax in between our excursions. This is the Amazon of Costa Rica that touches the Caribbean Sea. Then it's time to leave Tortuguero and have our first encounter with this wonderful creature, a sloth. Of course, we took pictures of it and we will never see one again. Little did we know that there were many more to come. Sloths in Costa Rica are even found trying to cross the highways of the country. Our next stop in Costa Rica is La Fortuna, where we spend 2 nights. The Quioro Hotel has an amazing backdrop, and we often have wildlife encounters, even in the hotel lobby. While Arenal volcano may be quiet during our visit, it has been active many times in the past. One of the remnants of a previous outbreak is a lava flow from 1968 that we explore on a hiking trail. There are more than 50 species of hummingbirds in Costa Rica. It is the only bird in the world able to fly backwards. These beautiful creatures also lay the smallest eggs in the world, weighing as little as 1 gram. Our guests are fascinated to watch a hummingbird's nest near the hotel restaurant. We prepare for our next stop in Costa Rica in the cloud forest of Monteverde. Cloud forests are mountainous, fresh, highly elevated forests situated at the continental divide. This is a different type of forest, full of dripping moss and cooler temperatures. Cloud forests are mainly created by the moisture of clouds rather than rainfall. We visit the Monteverde Forest Reserve, very green, mossy, cloudy. It lives up to its name, as we are often engulfed by a sea of mist. It's a mysteriously dark, green and wet place, which nonetheless teems with life. We start the day early on a quest to see the resplendent quetzal, a symbolic bird in Central America and a spectacularly colorful one, worth waking up early for. The male has long feathers on its tail that can be as long as 1 meter in length. We enjoy a treetop skywalk over a 2.5-kilometer trail on suspension bridges to observe the cloud forest from canopy level. This is the best way to enjoy the animals and plants, reaping the rewards of the treetops and the branches below. Many species of orchids thrive on the moisture spray of this cloud forest, particularly micro-orchids that are better viewed with a magnifying glass. Costa Rica is home for an incredible 1,400 orchid species. We return to San Jose for 1 night before setting off for the second half of this journey, this time to a country with a completely different set of highlights, a nation where the Maya people still live and thrive, Guatemala. We land in Guatemala City and drive straight to the country's former capital and one of the most beautiful cities in the Americas, Antigua, where we stayed 3 nights. Antigua translates as old or ancient, so named for being the country's former capital. It's a city where time has stood still. It's a city of beautiful colonial houses, traditional cobblestone streets, and artisans' shops. There are 3 volcanoes surrounding Antigua: Agua, Fuego, and Acatenango.
Yep.
In 1773, an earthquake devastated the city, and as a result, the country's capital was moved to Guatemala City. As we stroll the city streets, we visit the ruins of the Cathedral of San Jose. We arrive in Antigua on the Saturday before the Palm Sunday Eastern procession. There is extra activity on the streets because today is the day of the children's procession. The streets are adorned with very elaborate sawdust carpets. Parents are proud to pass on their traditions to the next generations as they see their children carrying the floats in the procession. The boys carry the statue of Christ on the cross. The young girls convey the statue of the Virgin Mary, and the teenage girls bear the statue of Our Lady of Sorrows. Right at the back, the marching orchestra tramples over the sawdust carpets, and locals collect the debris to take home as a blessing symbol for the house. As this lady is doing, we go ahead to receive our symbol of blessing, but the lady before us gives it to her mother, who has a spark in her eyes after the procession has passed by her house. After such an unforgettable day in the city, we're ready for Palm Sunday, another incredible day of celebration. Our hotel in Antigua is a charming colonial house converted into a boutique hotel.
Gracias. Buen día.
Antigua, Guatemala.
The streets of Antigua today are busy, with everyone in a special mood to celebrate Palm Sunday. Hundreds of men are wearing purple robes. They are the penitents, known locally as cucuruchos, who are in charge of carrying the heavy float of Christ through the streets. Ladies wearing black and white clothes carry the float of the Virgin Mary. We see people finishing the details of their alfombras, or sawdust carpets. They've been here overnight, patiently making real art pieces on the ground. They have spent months designing, preparing, and gathering materials before spending hours and hours handcrafting these rugs on the ground. It's almost heartbreaking to watch, as the pieces of art last such a short time. The procession tramples over them, but in their minds, the locals dedicate their work and tireless effort to the Lord, and it is a small sacrifice. For some, the carpets are a penitence, a labor of love, a way to honor and remember Christ. Some of the alfombras are amazingly elaborate. This tradition has been perfected over the ages, and the creativity is remarkable.
¿Cuánto cuesta tu sombrillas? 5. Gracias.
It gets busier and busier as we get closer to the procession, which started at 3 in the morning and will last until the evening. It is even broadcast live on the local TV channels. When we hear the marching orchestra, it is time to stop and watch 100 cucuruchos waiting for their turn to carry the heavy float of Christ carrying the cross. They must wait on their knees until the float is almost in front of them. This is the moment everybody has been waiting for, the most peaceful and reverent part of the festival. It is impossible not to feel carried away by the spiritual trance that is created by the procession. The moment when 100 carriers are changed is carefully synchronized. It has all been previously organized using shoulder height as the criteria, as there is very little room for error. The ladies are in charge of carrying the float of the Virgin Mary, as they have done for centuries. After all the excitement, we enjoy a well-deserved free day in Antigua, a chance to absorb this glorious city while it's quiet and peaceful. There are countless churches in town, all with very picturesque facades, and for those who love photography, it's a wonderful opportunity to create some lasting memories.
Son sus calles de ensueño y sus perpetuas rosas, bellezas que engalanan.
Using the local system of transportation is a must. It's hard to leave Antigua, but there are more adventures ahead. We are about to dive into the Maya world, which is still present and thriving. We head to Comalapa and start to get an understanding of the world through the eyes of the Maya people. Comalapa has a very colorful market.
Types of papers, yeah.
We stay for 2 nights on the shores of Lake Atitlan, surrounded by 3 impressive volcanoes, Atitlan, Toliman, and San Pedro. We take a boat ride across the lake to see the remote village of Santiago de Atitlan, where we delve deep into the Maya world. We head to the village church, where we witness a complex mix between the Maya and the Christian gods, with Maya traditions having been inserted into the Catholic religion. Soon after, we head to the Oracle of Mashimon, an extremely popular Maya deity that is not accepted by the Catholic Church. It is difficult to define whether Mashimon is a devil or a saint. Villagers say it is a saint of the people, not of the church, that it is a protector of the Maya people, a generous giver of health and prosperity. For them, God comes first, then Mashimon. Every year, Mashimon is taken apart and reconstructed by his caretaker in total darkness. The Catholic Church associates this ritual with paganism, as if these practices are rather a contradiction. Meanwhile, the people believe in God, and also in Mashimon. He resides in a different family's home every year, and the house of the host family becomes his oracle. Santiago de Atitlan shows us very vivid representations of the religious syncretism between Maya and Catholic beliefs. Our guide feels privileged to be here today, so he also makes an offering and asks for blessings. Afterwards, we travel to another village at the foot of the volcanoes, San Juan de Atitlan, where we visit a school that we've been supporting since we started coming to this part of the world. It's humbling to see the school children treat our visit as a major event, with everybody coming out to see us. They've been practicing a cultural show to tell us about their culture and their gratitude for always thinking of them. Moments like this are genuinely heartwarming. We returned to our hotel to enjoy the amazing afternoon views. There couldn't be a more appropriate time for cocktails before our barbecue dinner, as we watched the sunset in front of the lake and the volcanoes. We depart Lake Atitlan and travel to Chichicastenango, where the Maya culture is strong and present. We first delve into the produce market of Chichi to mingle with the locals again. This is a treat for the senses as we see close up the incredible colors of their textiles and fruits and vegetables. Then we reach the star of the show, a place where photography is strictly prohibited, but where Maya and Catholic religions coexist, sharing one temple space, the ancient church of Chichicastenango. Both types of rituals are practiced here. At this point, it's probably best to stop trying to understand and simply enjoy the fascinating aspects of this complex culture. We leave Chichicastenango and take a day's journey to Copan in Honduras, to one of the 3 major Maya ruins in our itinerary. When we reach the town of Copan, we are welcomed in the house of American archaeologist David Sedat. He is one of the most renowned scientists to have excavated some of the Maya pyramids in Copan and made amazing discoveries. He later found love in the town and now calls Copan home. A private dinner at David's house is a genuine privilege.
Green papaya. It's a sort of a local recipe.
Afterwards, he treats us to a presentation about his famous discoveries. Although Copan was occupied for more than 2,000 years, the complex we see today was mostly built between the 5th and the 9th centuries. During its golden era, it was home for 20,000 people, ranging from god-like nobles to humble peasants. We visit the remains of the pyramids where the nobles would talk to their gods and project power over their people. A major and still mysterious event caused them to abandon their city in the early 10th century, and it was reclaimed by the forest until the early 1900s. Copan is also home to a large colony of scarlet macaws that fly free and scream loudly to add to the atmosphere of this ancient site. The Museum of Copan features a recreation of how the pyramids looked in the ancient days. We learn more of the history of this fabulous Maya site. After our fascinating visit, we head to another Maya site, Quiriguá, where we learn the basics behind reading Maya scripts known as glyphs on these stelae. They are the tallest stelae of the Maya world, in fact. We have an overnight stop on the Caribbean coast of Guatemala, where there is a large Afro-Caribbean influence. This is the Garifuna population of Guatemala, who are proud to show us their Afro-Caribbean dances. Our Treasures of Central America trip ends in fine and fitting style at Jungle Lodge Tikal, very close to the ancient and mysterious Maya ruins of Tikal. We arrive in time for golden hour and admire its majestic pyramids as we get ready for a tour the following morning. Tikal is a 2,000-year-old city that at its height was home to 90,000 people and for some unknown reason was also abandoned in the early 10th century. We learn all the known historical facts behind the genesis, peak, and decline of the Maya civilization, but are still left wondering why they abandoned these amazing cities. Tikal is the perfect finale for the Treasures of Central America tour, a wonderfully diverse journey through a land between two continents and two oceans.